Namaskara. Starting from today for the next 100 days, 100 days, I'll be discussing about Yoga Sutras, and I'll be sharing the insights that each and every practitioner, sadhaka, what all the things that he or she has to know once you're on the path of yoga. So Yoga Sutra is one of the most important texts studied to this day, which gives you insight on all the secrets of yoga and about your own self, which is very, very essential and which is life changing also at the same time. So as I had said in the earlier, so Yoga Sutras was written by a sage Patanjali, dating back 2,500 to 3,500 years, in the form of formulas or sutras or aphorisms, which consists of 4 chapters. And there are 196 sutras or aphorisms in this entire 4 chapters, which helps an individual grow on the path of yoga from the initial stage up until the stage where he or she reaches the state of realization, what we call as Kaivalya in the Yoga Sutras. Okay? So the 4 chapters are called as Samadhipada, Sadhanapada, Vibhuti-pada and the Kaivalya-pada. So before you start your journey on the path of yoga, we offer our salutations to Patanjali, the sage, the Maharishi who wrote the text of yoga in the form of sutras, hence it is called as the Yoga Sutras. So it's always a tradition and a sense of showing the respect that we remember the person who is responsible for the text or for whichever path of knowledge you're about to pursue. You offer your respects to them and then you start your journey or your studies. So I will chant the Patanjali Shloka, then listen to it, then I'll explain to you even the meaning of the Shloka, and then I'll tell you one of the most important things that you have to know when it comes to the practice today. Okay? Om yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakenam yopakarottam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankachakrasidharinam sahasrashirasam sushvetam pranamami patanjalim. So this is the Patanjali Shloka that we chant in the beginning of the practice of any kind of yogic practices. So the meaning of the shloka goes somewhat like this. So we are offering our salutations to sage Patanjali, who gave us the knowledge of yoga for serenity and sanctity of the mind, and gave us the knowledge of grammar for purity and clarity of speech, and who gave us the knowledge of Ayurveda, which is the traditional Indian system of medicine, for well-being of the health. So Patanjali wrote on 3 main topics or line of studies: yoga, Ayurveda and Vyakarana, that is grammar. And in the same shloka, in the second stanza, so we are enumerating his physical appearance also. So we are saying we are contemplating on his physical form, because it's very essential in the beginning to it's very easy to visualize the person and then connect to them than just have a very abstract idea of how the image is. So but the sage Patanjali's upper body form is in the form of a human, the lower body form is in the form of a snake, and with a 1,000-headed snake behind the back of the head. So we are also saying you are the sage who has the body in this form, and you have a chakra, a disc in one hand and a conch in the other hand, and you're saying, okay, we are offering our salutations to you. Please help us to go ahead in the path of yoga. Okay, so you've offered your salutations to Patanjali. Now start your journey. So most of you start your journey on the path of yoga. Each one of you are in different levels. Okay, one will be beginner, one will be somewhere in between, one will be advanced, one will be super advanced. Highly, they have been practicing for so long, and they have reached different stage. And even if they haven't been practicing, they have this very mature state of mind which has the ability to understand and assimilate everything, and then it's very easy for them. You just tell them one or two things and they'll understand the whole concept of everything. So today I'll discuss with you what are the different levels the students are in, or the sadhakas are in. There are 4: the beginner, the intermediary, the advanced, and the super advanced. So this is what we call in Yoga Sutra as Mrudhu, means mild. You're a mild practitioner. Second one is Madhya, means you are somewhere in between. And then the third one is Adhimatra, intense. You're an intense practitioner. Thivra Adhimatra, super intense. So these are the 4 levels in which you progress and grow once you start your journey on the path of yoga. So the first level, Mrudhu. And see, based on whichever level you are in, the level of the understanding is different. When you're a complete beginner, the understanding is different, the psychological development is different, and the state of your renunciation is different. Everything is different. So the body-mind awareness that is there in each one of them when they are in the different levels of sadhana, like the beginner or the intermediate student or the advanced student, it's completely different. And the way you evolve and the stage you are in, even that is different. So I'm going to discuss and explain to you, what is the mindset, what level of awareness that will be in a student or a practitioner who was in the beginning stage, and intermediate stage, advanced stage, and super advanced. So the first stage, beginner, what we call as Mridusthiti in the yogic text, or it's also called as we can also term him or her as a mild practitioner. See, this is how each one of you start. So you're completely new to the practice of yoga. You start off here. The practice is slow, steady, and it's completely undefined. So your practice is not as consistent as it has to be compared to the students who have gone ahead. And your level of awareness is at the physical level. You're more focused on the physical aspect of the practice. Am I able to sweat? Am I able to stretch? Am I able to do the asana perfectly? This is what your first initial stage of awareness will be there. And the only thing you will be able to achieve through this kind of approach towards the practice, you only will be able to disengage the senses from the action. So by regular practice of asana, what happens over time, you kind of start feeling a sense of control over your senses compared to how it was before you started your practice. So you'll have control now, because all the physical parts of the body are under your control, and it has to be the way it has to be, and it's functioning, and you're making sure it's functioning in the way it has to function. This is where you start. This is how it starts. So for you guys, for anyone who started the practice, we say, okay, see, now you are in the mild state of the practice. Okay, where the awareness is at the physical level, your practice is slow, it's indefinite, and it's completely undecided, and the only thing that you'll achieve by this is your ability to disengage your senses from the action. Now the second is called as the medium or madhyasthati, okay, somewhat like intermediary level. See, here is when the practice becomes more methodological and disciplined. So, in the previous stage, in the first stage, awareness was at the body level, physical level, which is what we call as Annamaya Kosha. Now, since you're now on the second level, the body, the awareness has become more psychological. So you're observing the flow of energy, you're observing the flow of prana, seeing what is happening when the asana is being practicing. And here you completely, free yourself from the desires. Any kind of desires that distract you from, pursuing your journey on the path. But keeping away from the desires, it's not possible in the, once you start your journey in the beginning. It takes a lot of time, for you to gain the ability to free yourself from the desire. But once you are able to free yourself from the desire, a sense of fullness and completeness comes in you. And, you start understanding a lot of things about your own self, which was maybe psychologically hidden within you. So once you free yourself from these desires, that is when the practice becomes disciplined. If you feel these days, no, my practice is not still disciplined enough, why? It's because of this. There are still a lot of things that has to come out from you. And the third one is Adhimatra, intense practitioner. See, this is when your practice becomes scientific, meaningful and purposeful. In the earlier two stages, in the beginning and the intermediary stage, there's no scientific approach towards it. You're not seeing, okay, what's happening to your nerves, what's happening to your muscles, how is the blood flow, is there a systematic way in which you practice and why I practice, what is happening to me internally. No, those things won't happen. Only when your practice becomes intense, you start connecting to your own self, to each and every cell, gland, muscle that is there in each and every part of the body. Everything, you start searching for meaning in each and every action of yours. And this is possible only when the practice is intense. And here, in this stage, is where your awareness is more towards what's happening in your mind. In the beginning stage, it was physical awareness. In the second stage, it was the awareness of the flow of prana or the energy. Now it's about the mind. And once this happens, you become one-pointed. Like you develop concentration, ekagrata. You're able to still the mind. Stillness in the mind is achieved. You develop this state of intimate knowledge within you. You start linking, you start connecting the physical body to the pranic body and to the mind. You start connecting the body and the breath and the mind. So this connection first there was only connection to the physical body. Second, there was connection to the flow of the breath and the energy. Now, once you've reached the super intense state, which is the Adhimatra, now you're connecting the body and the breath and the mind. So you have complete control of everything. So, and is there anything beyond this? Yeah. So the first stage was mild, second stage was medium, third stage was intense. Now super intense, which we call as Tivra Samvega Sthiti. This is when the practice becomes religious and you start experiencing the purity in the practice, and you connect to your own self, and you practice with attentive consciousness, and then you surrender to your own self. Because surrendering and accepting won't happen in the earlier. There's always a sense of ego, the ego that you are doing and you are involved. But in this last stage, you realize I have nothing to do, and then you surrender to your own self and you free yourself from the cravings. So if you don't feel like you freed yourself from this craving, that's because you haven't surrendered to your own self. But when you surrender to your own self, you feel like you're free forever, and it's like you've reached the state of perfection. You're completely ripe now. So these are the four different stages of practitioners. Okay, thank you.